Hello and welcome to the Culture Swally, a podcast dedicated to Scottish news and pop culture. My name is Nicky and I'm joined as always by the man who once sent me a video message saying that he was in Big George type bother, but I misheard it as Boy George type bother. I didn't reply, so I've no idea what it was all about, but I do know that to this day, he's still legally not allowed to have radiators in his house. It's Greg. How are you today, Greg?
Very well. Luckily, I live in a country where radiators aren't required. So,
you found a little loophole there. Yeah. That's why you moved to the Middle East. So because of the court order ban. How are you today? I joke, obviously. It's just because, well, Big George we'll be discussing later on. And of course, Boy George was on my mind because he's about to go into the jungle.
Indeed. And because I know you and I are both fans of Stuart Whiffen and Cunt and the Gang's 80s podcast, Acceptable in the 80s, which is well worth checking out. We're not being paid for plugging it. It's just, although if you're easily offended, you might, it's maybe not for you. But because I've been listening to that and I only discovered it like a few months ago, so they release it every month, so I've been trying to catch up and I am fully caught up now. But I found myself watching a lot of 1980s episodes of Top of the Pops. And I was watching one last night. I think I sent you it. I don't know if you got the chance to watch it, but there was a band on there called Incantation who are basically sort of kind of country folk with panpipes and guitars. No, there's no singing. They're just like playing their panpipes. One guy's got a little ukulele. Another guy's playing the panpipes with one hand and hitting a drum with the other. And I'm just thinking to myself, it's amazing the sort of shite that used to get on Top of the Pops in the 1980s.
They mentioned it on the most recent episode I was listening to yesterday, actually, and they do like a rundown of the music and stuff, and they mentioned the Dexys were in the charts,
right,
as Jackie Wilson said.
Yeah.
And in my head, whenever I hear that, I instantly think of something, and then they mentioned it straight away.
Right.
And it is probably one of the most iconic Top of the Pops moments when Dexys performed Jackie Wilson Said to a big picture of Jockey Wilson, the darts player. And it's incredible. I love it. Yeah. It's so good. Just seeing Kevin Rowland just swinging away with Big Jockey right behind him.
Yeah, I was listening to Kevin Rowland being interviewed recently on Gary Kemp and Guy Pratt's Rockin' Tours podcast. He's actually, I thought, I had an impression of Kevin Rowland that he took himself a bit seriously. But he actually, he was very good on that. He didn't strike as somebody who takes himself very seriously. Or maybe he doesn't anymore, perhaps. Maybe he's older, a bit more mature. But I remember seeing on Channel 4 one night years ago, and there was a concert of his. It was performed by himself without the rest of the Dexys. And it was a really weird sort of up its own arse kind of arty thing with no catchy songs whatsoever. So he seems to, but I know that he played with Dexys at the Commonwealth Games closing party this summer in Birmingham. So
I mean, Come On Eileen is just that is your archetypal wedding song that comes on that everyone gets up to dance. But I noticed you just went, oh.
No, I love that song. No, I'm not.
It's a banger.
It's an absolute banger. And the thing,
great song.
The thing that podcast, the Acceptable in the 80s podcast has sort of made me realise that a lot of songs that probably were the soundtrack to our young lives, which you would hear all the time, like that. Come On Eileen is a perfect example. Like sort of school discos, or as you say, weddings or whatever. Or if you're at like some. Remember, they used to get those like terrible 80s pubs, like that. What was that one in Glasgow that were in that time? Relax or something like that, was it called? I can't remember.
I can't remember. Yeah, that rings a bell. Relax.
Yeah, used to be on Renfield Street, I think. And so like you was sort of like because those songs have been so overplayed in your life, like in the last sort of 15, 20 years, like when you hear them come on the radio, you're like, oh fucking hell, and you turn it off. But actually, when you come back to these songs, you realise that they're absolutely brilliant. And Come On Eileen is a brilliant example of that. So is Karma Chameleon by Culture Club. It's a brilliant song.
Wonderful. Yeah, I went down a bit of a Culture Club rabbit hole yesterday, and yeah, Karma Chameleon's great. Do You Want to Hurt Me? But for me, Church of the Poison Mind is just such a good song.
Such a good song. Yeah, it's really good.
Talking about that pub, it just flashed into my mind. I wonder if there's ever been a Scottish tribute act and for Holly Johnson's band, because they should totally call it Franco Goes to Holyrood. That's just an open goal there. If that doesn't exist, we need to set that up. I'll be Holly Johnson.
Our mutual friend could be the guy with the big tash. It's in fact, we can get him involved. I'm not sure.
That's great.
Holly Johnson and the guy with the big tash are the only two members of Frankie Goes to Hollywood that I'm really familiar with.
I couldn't name anyone else.
I don't know who I could be.
It's a bit like Dexys. Would you be able to name anyone else? Or like Culture Club. Obviously, you know Boy George, and you know the I can't even remember his name now, but the black guy who I think went out with Boy George. I think they had a relationship. That's the only two members I can really remember.
I don't know if you would have seen this because it was on when you lived in Dubai, but the Channel 4 did a drama about Boy George and Culture Club like years ago. I think it was called The Boy Can't Help It. And
I've never seen that.
The guy who plays Gavin and Stacey, whose name escapes me,
Matthew Horn.
Yeah, so he played.
I've met him in Austria.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Well, he plays.
He was a twat.
He plays the member of the band that got Boy George involved, that had a kind of relationship with him, even though I think that guy was straight, but Boy George sort of giving off the energy that he gave off at that time in the 80s and stuff, like they said in the podcast, probably leaving quite a few confused dads watching Top of the Pops on a Thursday night. But yeah, Matthew Horn plays the sort of the member of the band who Boy George went out with. I don't think he went out with the black fella. His name I can't remember.
It's Mikey Craig. I've just Googled because I felt terrible. So he was the bassist in Culture Club, and very good he is too.
Very good he is indeed. Yeah. So like you, I've been going down a bit of an 80s rabbit hole over the last few months, and coming back to a lot of these old songs that you just and sort of gaining a fresh respect for them, you know.
With Boy George going into the jungle, which is, of course, I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, it made me think about like UK reality shows and things. So if you were to go on a reality show, which one would you go on?
See, the problem with me is similarly to you, I'm not particularly outgoing. So it would have to be something where, I don't know. I mean, I guess I could probably do Big Brother, because I'd be fine doing that, because I know I could just sort of wander off and be by myself when everybody was getting on my nerves. I might miss like not having my phone, because they don't let you take any books or anything, do they? In Big Brother.
No, because it's they did in the first series, and then they realised that people were just sitting about reading all day. So it's the same as the jungle. You're not allowed to take in any books or anything because it's not entertaining.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that farm one where Rebecca Lewis wanked off a pig. I'm not into that. I'm not good enough to do Bake Off. Not good enough in the kitchen to do that. I'll just embarrass myself. I don't know. I mean, I'm sort of out of. I'm probably. I'm too old for Love Island, and crucially, not mentally ill.
Yeah, I mean, I struggle with this as well. I mean, I thought about it and I was like, well, I couldn't do the jungle because I'm a bit afraid of heights and stuff. Right. So, like, you know, they have to go over the rope bridge and I think they have to parachute in and stuff. So I couldn't be arsed with that. I don't think I'm talented enough to do Strictly Come Dancing.
No.
Big Brother, I've often thought I would have done. However, I fucking hate people. And having to be locked in with people would really piss me off. Similarly, I'd love to do like Bake Off, but I don't think I'm not a good baker. I don't know. Obviously, I'm married, so I can't do Love Island or First Dates or anything. Mm-hmm. Maybe, I don't know, The Apprentice, but they're all fucking wankers.
Yeah,
on The Apprentice.
I know.
Which makes me, so I think I'd end up doing something like, I don't know, Naked Attraction maybe.
I mean, the reason I couldn't do The Apprentice is because that little part of me that is still a sort of schoolboy couldn't bear a public bollocking. You know what I mean? I would have to just get up and leave the boardroom when Lord Sugar started giving me a bollocking. Yeah, I'd have to. So I couldn't do that. So it would just feel like I was back at school.
We could potentially go on Dragon's Den and try and get funding for our
podcast.
Franco Goes to Hollywood tribute act.
Peter Jones would put money into that. So he would. Definitely.
Think so?
Yeah, he definitely would. I mean, I remember a kind of early series like Dragon's Den, and this band came on. And they were, I mean, perfectly proficient musicians. But I mean, it was so boring. They played a sort of wet-ish sort of song, but a little bit too late to sort of ride the wet wave. It was, and it was their own song. And like all the other dragons, like, rightly, were like, well, there's fucking no money in this. How do we make any money back? And Peter Jones was like, oh, that's a great song. So he invested, but they were never heard from again. So obviously it didn't work out very well.
I could just imagine Deborah Meaden be like, this isn't X Factor.
Yeah.
This is Dragon's Den. Why are you coming home with this fucking pish?
Well, that was the early series that had Funky Duncan Bannatyne on there. And yeah, and
was he out?
He was out straight away. You're very good. You're very good musicians, but it's just there's no money in it. I'm out, Deborah.
Oh, very good. Okay. Right. Well, I think that covers the UK talent shows and reality shows that we have. We'll see.
Maybe we need to try and come up with our own sort of talent show format. We'll have to think about it, maybe talk about it in the next episode when I've had time to consider it.
Yeah. See what, if any of our listeners have got any ideas of what we could do for a reality show, then please get in touch. It'd be wonderful to hear your ideas. We'll read them out on the next episode of the podcast.
And crucially, we'll make you producers if they get picked up by like Bravo or Channel 4 or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Shall we have a look at what's been happening in Scotland in the last week or so, Greg?
Cue the jingle.
Hello, this is the Outer Hebrides Broadcasting Corporation, and here is what's been going on in the news.
Okay, Greg, so what have you seen in the news in the last couple of weeks that you would like to share with me and our listeners?
Well, so my first story this week. So Scotland is obviously a very, very old country. Well, the UK is a very old country, and as a result, there are a number of like small, not that well known Scottish communities that have hilarious names. And often when tourists sort of come across these funny place names, they steal the signs, like the place name signs.
Yeah.
So a council has come up with tamper-proof signs to foil thieves in a particular Scots hamlet, which was made famous by Terry Wogan many years ago, called Cock Bridge in Aberdeenshire. It says, souvenir hunters who steal official place names for Cock Bridge in Aberdeenshire have spurred council chiefs to take action. This comes from the Daily Record on the 30th of October. A hamlet which was cheekily immortalised by the late presenter Sir Terry Wogan has declared war on souvenir hunters who constantly steal its famous road signs. Thieves have regularly targeted the official place names for Cock Bridge in Aberdeenshire, but now the fed-up council is working on signs which are tampon-proof. Fuck's sake. Tamper-proof. Wogan regularly made fun on air of the settlement, home to less than 100 people, which is in the Cairngorms National Park. Aberdeenshire Council previously said it was disappointing that the place names had been stolen, but replacements were in order and will be installed as soon as possible. But they were stolen again last summer. The signs were also a target for people to plaster stickers. Such is the eye-catching notoriety of the place name. But since the summer, the hamlet has been without a visible name. Now Aberdeenshire Council is working to restore Cockbridge's title to its rightful place for good. A spokesman said, "We are aware of the issues with the sign and we're working to replace it using more robust tamper-proof fixings. The road often disappears under a blanket of snow in winter and is known locally as the Lecht, taking the name of the nearby ski centre. The road is one of the highest in the UK and usually the first in Scotland to be affected by snow. It's frequently closed during the winter." On his BBC Radio 2 show, Wogan, who passed away in 2016 at the age of 77, helped bring Cockbridge to Tom and Toole Road, and local postmistress Mrs. Mackay to fame. In 1999, after he criticised the council for never being prepared for the snow, locals wrote in to point out that it was not the local authority that cleared the snow, but rather Mrs. Mackay, the silver-haired postmistress with her silver-handled shovel. She was doing the best she could, they insisted. For the next decade, listeners would phone in with sightings of the near-mythical Mrs. Mackay shovelling snow. Aberdeenshire is no stranger to rude-sounding place names. There's also a hamlet called Backside. And another one called Broken Wind, all one word. Local councillor Giva Blackett said Cockbridge isn't the only sign being stolen in her ward. She said those signs continually get targeted, as do another lot in my ward. The signs for Lost, for example, there's a place called Lost in Aberdeenshire that gets stolen. People who take them think it's amusing, and they end up on somebody's wall as a souvenir. But every time they're replaced, it costs money, which means another pothole doesn't get filled in, or a school book doesn't get replaced. Fuck's sake, Giva. Give us peace. Last year, a fundraiser got his rude map out for a moped trip to Britain's 48 naughtiest street and place names. Paul Taylor, 43, rode over 1,800 miles from Shitterton in Dorset to Twat in Orkney. Other places included Ass Hill in Dorset and Slack Bottom Road in Bradford. So there you go. So if you're listening in America, you've got, they say that people in America have never been to the UK, because a lot of people in America don't go anywhere because they don't have passports. It's a very small percentage of Americans travel. That they assume that the UK is going to be a bit like Middle Earth, Lord of the Rings. Do you know what I mean? And, when we hang on to place names like Twat in Orkney, you got to think part of them is correct.
I think I'd rather have a Backside than Cockbridge. I mean, Cockbridge is funny, but Backside that's brilliant. What a great name.
Yeah.
I can understand their plight. I think it must be annoying that people are stealing these signs, and I can imagine it's but then a road sign, it's not like you've just picked it up. You probably have to have tools to like unscrew it. So this is a planned attack, so to speak. Like, I always remember, as a student, you do drunken things, and I remember one night picking up a police cone and thinking, I'm having this, and walking home with it. And I was walking up the road home, and I don't know how I made it all the way home with this police cone. And if a copper said...
You walked all the way from town to Hazelhead?
Yeah, I found it... Yeah, I used to walk home all the time. Like, I was too tight to spend £5 in a taxi, so I'd go and get a pie, bottle of Iron Brew, maybe some reading material, and then walk up the road. It took about maybe 45 minutes. So one night I had this police cone, thinking this will look great in my bedroom, and I remember this old man on the other side of the street. I don't know what he was doing up at like fucking 4 a.m. He must have been in the 60s, and he shouted over to me, "Hey, there's no parking there, son." And we both laughed and thumbs up, and this is great. And then I woke up the next morning with this police cone next to my bed, and I was like, what the fuck have I done? What am I going to do with this? I ended up putting it in a black bag and dumping it in the woods because I didn't know what to do with it. I was terrified. I was like, I can't throw this out in the bin. I'm going to have to get rid of the evidence. It was like fucking Fred West hiding a body or something. But it was, but I've never stolen a road sign.
No.
That would be the kind of, I don't know what you do with that.
I remember actually walking back to yours one night when I came up from Glasgow and stayed at yours.
I remember that night,
and I think we were under the influence of more than just alcohol, as I recall.
Yes.
So it was quite a sort of disco-y kind of walk home, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it was. Yes, I do remember that night. Yes.
Yeah. No, I've never stolen a road sign, but I'm quite. When I was reading that article, because they mentioned that they've not had a road sign for ages. So like if people are trying to get there, they've never been there before, and they have to like pull up at the side of the street and ask a local, "Excuse me, is this Cockbridge?" Something funny about that.
No, it's Backside.
No, sorry, this is Twat. Cockbridge is just over the hill. Anyway, that's my first story this week. what's your first story?
Okay, Greg. Well, I like to think we're quite a friendly podcast and we don't speak ill of people. However, we can rip the absolute arse out of this woman because I think it's safe to say she's not going to be listening to this podcast. So this is from the Daily Record this week, and it is about Kirsty Baker, a woman who is terrified of Scottish accents, has revealed that the fear is so severe it causes her to experience heart palpitations and nausea. Kirsty Baker has even turned down dates because of her irrational fear and winces at the sound of the Celtic twang. Going to extreme lengths to avoid it at all costs, the 32-year-old from Hampshire switches off the TV and radio as soon as she hears the accent and has been doing so since she was a child. Since she was a child. She said, now I'm going to have to do, I can't do a Scottish accent for Kirsty, so I'll have to do an English accent for this. I literally start to panic. My heart races and I feel sick. It's awful. Kirsty became adverse to the accent when she was 10 years old, whilst attending a boat show with her parents. A man on stilts, sporting a traditional Scottish tam o' shanter hat and red wig, approached her. Kirsty explains, the man started speaking in a thick accent, and the way he looked and sounded just terrified me. I ran away and hid behind my parents. I wonder if it was Russ Abbott. Since then, I've been so scared of Scottish voices. Recently, Kirsty was in a supermarket and a customer started talking to her in a thick Scottish accent. Kirsty was so petrified, she dumped her shopping in the aisle and fled. The phobia affects her dating life too. She avoids men whose online profiles say they live in Scotland. She explains, I've had a few men message me online. I don't know why she sounds like David Beckham now. I've had a few message me online, and the moment I find out they're from Scotland, I ask if they're Scottish. If they are, I explain about my phobia. Most of them think I'm joking, but when I tell them I'm serious, they just find it hilarious. I tell them I don't have anything against Scottish people, just their voices. I've definitely missed out, because some of them are good-looking guys. Despite the sound making her feel nauseous, not everyone is taking it seriously. Kirsty's older brothers relentlessly mock her, breaking out in the accent to tease her. She says, they're always taking the mickey out of me, imitating the accent out of the blue. They don't realise how triggering it is for me. I have to leave the room. Kirsty says that she was a massive fan of David Tennant in Doctor Who, but now she can't bear to watch him on TV. She said, because he had an English accent in Doctor Who, I didn't realise he was Scottish until a few years ago when my mum told me. It's a shame, as I really liked him. I've never watched Braveheart either because of my fear. I don't think you've got to worry too much about watching Braveheart, Kirsty, for Scottish accents. I recommend Rob Roy. That's even worse. If I want to watch a TV show, I'll have to check if any of the cast is Scottish. So I wonder if she's never watched Line of Duty because she thinks Martin Compston is Scottish. However, he speaks, much like Kirsty does with my accent, he speaks a bit like this, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
Unsurprisingly, Kirsty insists she'll never visit Scotland. She says, that would be my worst nightmare. Well, can I say from all of us in Scotland, Kirsty, you're not fucking welcome. So, yeah, have you got any irrational fears of accents or anything, Greg?
No.
Or what do you think of Kirsty? This is ridiculous. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it's something that she could deal with quite easily. You know what I mean? Also, she'd probably been fine watching today's TV show because there's a few dodgy accents in that later on.
We'll come on to that.
Yeah, indeed. I've never heard of it before. I mean, there's accents. I'm not going to mention any of them, so I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But there's some accents that I can't bear. Especially when they're particularly broad.
Yeah.
But generally, I do quite like accents, especially in like Scotland and England and, or the UK generally. I like the fact that you talk a little differently depending on where you come from in the same country. But yeah, no, she can fucking do one. If she's got nothing against Scottish people, she's not likely to ever have anything against Scottish people until she fucking sorts out her stupid phobia.
I mean, she's missed out on so much. I mean, she's missing out on handsome men because of their accent.
She's fucking missing out on the Culture Swally.
Exactly. Well, that's why we can say anything we like about Kirsty, because we know she's not going to be listening to this podcast. I can understand if you do have an irrational fear of something, I can imagine it can be crippling. So a man on stilts in a tam o' shanter hat and red wig approached her when she was a child. Now, is there more to this story?
Was he wearing a kilt and she saw something?
I'm not even going there. You know what?
He was wearing a kilt and he was a true Scotsman, and she got a flash of something she should never have seen.
Anyway, okay. So I'm very sorry for Kirsty and her fear of Scottish accents, but yeah, she's missing out on so much.
Yeah, I think probably she needs. It sounds to me like she's not got an awful lot going on in her life, and she could maybe do with getting a hobby or something like that. Doing something meaningful.
Oh, never mind. Okay, well, what else have you seen this week, Greg?
My next one. Today is November the 6th. We have just had Halloween this week. So this story comes from the Scottish Sun on the 23rd of October. The headline reads, Scots dad left speechless after ordering Halloween mannequin and receiving racy item. So a dad ordered a Halloween corpse for his restaurant and was sent a sex doll. Jordan McAllister, 38, bought an £8.99 mannequin on Amazon to transform his takeaway into a haunted house for the creepy festival. There's a picture of him looking a bit bereft. He's holding the sex doll up. For some reason, it's got a black bin bag over its head. I'm not sure what's going on there. Oh, I think I'm going to know why in a second. Okay. So the article continues, but he was left spooked himself when he found a naked plastic doll with a woman's face in the package. The Tofu Oriental in Giffnock, near Glasgow, hosts a kids' guising event every October the 31st from 6 till 9. Jordan said, I had ordered a Halloween outdoor decoration of a body in a bag, but instead I got a full-on sex doll and a tiny bin liner. When I inflated the mannequin, it had breasts.
Wait a minute. So he inflated it. He obviously could tell what he had, but he still inflated it.
He's just being thorough, that's all. When I inflated the mannequin, it had breasts and an Asian female's face on it, which might explain why he's put the tiny bin liner over the sex doll's head for the photograph. I tried to hide it, but my son saw it and said, Daddy, what's that naked lady for? Jordan even called the police to report the incident, but funnily enough, was referred back to the seller. Just imagine the police, fuck off, mate. He added, I was so angry. My husband was stunned too, but then we had to laugh. I asked for a refund and I flagged it up to Amazon. I had checked the basket containing the items my 8-year-old wanted and everything seemed fine. The corpse was listed as any Halloween decoration. Jordan said the mix-up had put a damper on his annual celebration. He added, dressing up the shop cost me £300, but I don't mind. We'll just need to get a plan B for the corpse. Amazon was approached for comment, but at the time of recording, have yet to respond. So, here he is, Jordan with his sex doll and his tiny bin liner.
So, Jordan's bought a sex doll, got caught with it, and has come up with this elaborate lie that has then spiraled out of control, and now he's in the newspapers just because he was wanting to pump a little Asian sex doll. Like, let's face it, that's what's happened here. There's no mistaking that. I meant to be a corpse in a bin bag, but he ended up with a sex doll with a little black bag over it. Jordan, I'm not believing this shit.
Yeah. Millions of people might have believed you, Jordan, but we at the Culture Swally think there's more to your story than meets the eye.
Yeah, how do you get confused with that? I could understand if he bought it from like Wish or something, but he's bought it from Amazon. You know, it's not like it's going to be mislisted as inflatable. I just love the fact that he like blew it up. Surely you'd have got it and you'd have looked at it before inflating it, because you'd have to unwrap it and kind of flag it out so that it's like so that it inflates properly.
Exactly, yeah.
And he must have looked at it and went, "Oh, this has got tits," rather than once he's inflated it, he's like, "Oh my goodness, it has breasts." Like, no, Jordan, no.
Yeah. Like he was just in the process of blowing it up when his son's come in and he's thought, right, I need to think of an excuse really quickly. And it's because one lie's led to another and led to another. Before he knows where he is, he's in the Scottish Sun, holding up a sex doll with a bag over its head, looking bereft and disappointed.
Do you remember that story? I don't think it was Scottish, so that's why maybe I haven't covered it. And it was a few years ago, and it was a story that was in the papers. And I think this meme does do the rounds on social media. And it's about this elderly couple who, like, they're in their 60s, and they were in the newspaper slamming Virgin Media, their TV provider, because they'd been charged like 60 quid for porn.
Yeah.
And it's the woman and her husband sitting there looking shamefaced. And the husband, it just looks like the guiltiest man ever. He's been fucking watching porn, charged it, and then said, oh, it must be a mistake. I don't know about this. I think that's what Jordan's done.
So, like, I noticed that you seem to know quite a lot about the process of blowing up sex dolls there. You were going into a bit of detail about how you have to roll them out and so they inflate properly.
I meant just inflating things like pool toys, for example, or, a blow-up bed. I didn't mean about, like,
Asian sex
dolls. I don't know. I don't know. I've never owned one, like Jordan. I did buy a corpse in a bag once, but wasn't as advertised.
I sent away for a sex doll when I was delivered like a blow-up corpse in a bag. I always think there's something a bit tragic about sex dolls because, I mean, I've never been in contact with one. But obviously I guess they're for kind of lonely guys or girls that maybe find it hard to meet somebody and want to kind of basically just have like a posh wank, basically, right? I always think it's a bit sad, really, because they surely don't feel anything like a human being,
No, I would imagine not, because it would be like
latex.
Having sex with a rubber ring, unless you like maybe put the contents of a pot noodle inside first or something. Then maybe. I always
the contents of a pot
funny.
Noodle after the hot water's been added. I hope.
Just make sure it's not a Bombay bad boy. Chicken and mushrooms the best, I would say. I always find it funny that you would have known this in Aberdeen, because of course Aberdeen fans, we are known as sheep shaggers, and in a lot of the pubs in Aberdeen there'd be vending machines in the toilets where you could buy condoms, and in some of the vending machines you could buy blow-up sheep.
Yeah, that's right.
That were little blow-up sheep, and they did have a hole in the anus that you could potentially stick a chicken and mushroom pot noodle in. I always find that funny. It's the type of thing you buy when you're pissed. You're like, oh, blow up sheep, and then you blow it up and fling it around the bar and stuff.
Yeah.
Fun times. Anyway, Jordan, I'm not having any of this. You dirty deviant.
Oh dear! I said the fact that he called the police. The police were like, "What are you actually reporting here?"
Because this is when a lie gets too big.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I should phone the police. And obviously his husband's been like, yeah, you should. And he's like, I'm going to.
Yeah. His husband's well, go on then, phone the police. See how far are you going to take this? Right,
I'm not believing your shite, Jordan.
Yeah. right. Well, the police aren't interested, so I'm going to phone the Scottish Sun. Well, go ahead, call the Scottish Sun.
Fair play to Jordan, actually. He's taken that as far as he can. Good on him.
He's styled it out, as we say. He's styled it out all the way. And he's even managed to get a little sort of free advert for his takeaway in the Scottish Sun as well. So,
good stuff.
Him. Anyway, that's old Jordan and Giffnock. What's your second story this week?
I'm going to go a bit odd, Greg. I'm going to have a nice story this week. Yeah, I know it's not often that I do have a nice story, but I thought this was a lovely little tale.
Okay.
So this is from the Daily Record this week, and I actually saw this happening live on Twitter before the news picked it up. So I was invested in this story already. A Malaysian student booked a flight to Madrid after sharing beers with a group of Celtic fans on a train to London. So Celtic were playing Real Madrid in the Bernabeu in Madrid this week. They lost 5-1. But obviously these fans were getting the train down to London to get their flight. So Austin, who's the Malaysian student, met Hoops fan Mark Strachan and his friends on the Avanti West Coast service as they headed to Stansted Airport ahead of their Champions League clash with Real Madrid on Wednesday night. The Bristol University student got chatting with the Glasgow pals on Monday, and after a number of refreshments, Austin soon booked a flight with the lads. The brilliant story was shared by Mark on Twitter, and he's been keeping followers updated of their adventures. The following day, they got onto a Ryanair flight before arriving in the Spanish capital for more beers. And there's a photo here of Austin with his Malaysian passport. He's looking fucking pissed, and he's got like 5 empty beer bottles in front of him. The group then headed for a tour of Real Madrid Stadium, the Bernabeu, before speaking to reporters. One of the fans with Austin told the BBC cameras, "We got on the train in Glasgow and bumped into this man, Austin. We had a few beers and got chatting away. He's over from Malaysia, studying at Bristol University. After a few more beers, we decided to book Austin a plane to Madrid." Austin added, and I'm not going to do an accent for this. I had 5 or 6 beers, and I was just like, never mind. I'm going to be here anyway. Mark has shared pictures of Austin with his boarding pass, walking through London with a Celtic flag, and having beers in Madrid and then the stadium. This article was written before the game, so it says Celtic take on Real Madrid in their final Champions League match tonight, but obviously we know that they lost 5-1. So I just love this story in terms of, you know, it's a group of Scottish football fans, you know, regardless of who you support. Like, it doesn't matter, but I just find it so lovely that they've been getting the train down to London. They've obviously just got chatting to this guy who sat himself. Yeah. I said, come and join us. Come and have a beer. And he's like, oh, so where are you off to? Oh, we're going to Madrid for the football. And after Austin's had 5 beers, they've just fucking booked him a ticket. Come on, we're going. And I did see that they were tweeting, like, has anyone got a ticket for the game that we can give to Austin? And he got a ticket. He did go to the game.
That's class.
So, that's brilliant. He's just on his way down back to uni and ends up getting accosted. And
takes a 1,000-mile detour to Madrid.
I just thought it's so welcoming. You know, come and join us. Come and sit with us, Austin. And before you know it, you're off to Madrid.
That's brilliant.
I mean, we've all had kind of nights like not that extreme. Like I can't think of anything that I've ever done. I mean, I think we convinced ourselves a few times or strong-armed ourselves to go on like nights out. The one that instantly sprang to mind, and it's not as good as Austin, is I remember a Friday afternoon I came into town and met you for a couple of afternoon pints because I had a Friday afternoon off uni, and we had a couple of beers and we're speaking about how we weren't going to go out that night, and there's no way we're not going out, we're not doing anything. I was literally, we're outside HMV and I'm saying goodbye to you, and this guy hands us a flyer saying that like the drummer from Morchiba is doing a DJ set at Escobar, and we looked at each other and we're like, well we'll have to go to this. It's the drummer from Morchiba. Yeah. Like, I couldn't name you a fucking single Morchiba song to this day. However, we're like, well, we obviously have to go to this. Like, come on. So I ended up going home, getting changed, coming back into town, and then we ended up going to see the drummer from Morchiba. Was that the night? Genuinely, it was one of the best nights I've ever fucking had out. Was that the night that we ended up speaking to the South African guys in the street afterwards? Was that a different night?
That was a different night. That night that you're talking about was we had been invited to our mutual friend's housewarming in Urquhart Road. Neither of us wanted to go. So I think that's why we had said, that's why we're like, yeah, well, if we're just staying in, just make an excuse. We're not going to go. But because we obviously were going out, we ended up going to his party beforehand, going to Escobar, and then turning up again at fucking 3 a.m. as the party was winding down and attempting to breathe some life back into it.
Now I remember. Yes, you're right. Yeah. Just the audacity. Oh, it's the drummer from Morchiba.
Yeah.
We've got to go and see him. Come on. You know, it's not like it was Shovel from M People or something. You know, I can understand. Like, it's the drummer from Morchiba. Have you ever been strong-armed into like a trip abroad or something that you've you know, or much like our Malaysian Austin, anything that's
nothing like that, but it did remind me of a story that my dad liked to tell. about when he was younger. It's back when they used to have the old home counties internationals back in the 70s, where it's sort of Scotland, England, Wales, Northern Ireland. They had my mum's brothers, my uncles, had chartered and their friends had chartered a bus to take them to Wembley for the Scotland England tie. And one of their friends, I won't mention his name. I won't mention his name just in case. But he, the bus was leaving from Saracen Street, and he wasn't going because I think he promised his quite new wife at the time that he wouldn't go. Had a bit of a reputation for being a bit of a bevy merchant, and was to try to make the best of his new marriage. And he came down in his dressing gown and slippers to wave them off, and was promptly bundled onto the coach and taken to Wembley, and had to phone his new wife from the services on the M6 to explain why he still had the bag of rolls that he'd been dispatched for 2.5 hours ago. Not sure she believed him, but this guy went to Wembley in his pajamas, and they had to try and get him some clothes and some shoes and a ticket for the game and everything. But that's definitely a story for the ages anyway, you know?
Yeah, definitely. It's one to tell the grandkids, without a doubt. Oh, fantastic. Good lad.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So that was Austin and his trip to Madrid. It's a shame they lost 5-1. But maybe that'll be Austin's last Celtic match he probably goes to.
It'd been a fairy tale ending if they'd got a result, I suppose, for Austin.
It would have been, yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he would have been a lucky mascot. He would have had to go every week after that. Okay, Greg. Anything else this week, or...
I do actually. Unusually, I've got a very, very quick story. So this is from the Scottish Sun on the 28th of October. Now, the headline is "Really funny." My pal asked me to take his bin out when he was away, so I took it on a date to the park. This is Scots gardener Chris Nesbitt. His mate Michael Fleming asked him to take the bin out when he was away on holiday. So Chris, he's brought the wheelie bin to the local park in Blairgowrie near Perth. It's a picture of him he's got the wheelie bin on the bench. He's sitting beside it with his arm round it, drinking a cup of tea. There's also a picture of Chris on the swings with the wheelie bin on a swing, and a picture of Chris in the wheelie bin sliding down a chute together. Very
lovely.
Robust sense of humour, Chris. So I thought it was quite funny. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Oh, that's good. I'd like to hear that.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah. Taking a bin out for a date. Oh, good on. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my last story.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Well, before we go on to what we're going to be talking about today, I'd like to give a little mention to a huge friend of the podcast, Alistair Braidwood, and his wonderful show, Scots Way. Greg and I cannot recommend this show enough. Ali covers and talks about Scottish culture, but he goes so in depth into Scottish writers, poets, music, film, TV, art, and comedy. He is an absolutely incredible guests on this podcast, and Ali's knowledge and passion for Scottish culture is genuinely second to none. Maybe, I'd say he's ahead of us in terms of the passion that he has on this. Later today, Greg and I are lucky enough to be guests on Scots Way, and we will put that out on our feed for you so you can listen, and we hugely recommend that you do listen to this, and you can download some of Ali's podcasts after. So, Scots Way, but hey, let's hear a little clip.
Hello everyone.
It's going to be just like the Paris Review, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Paris Review with pints. So, this is the 5th Scots Way podcast, and we're having far too good a time here. I have with me Alan Bissett.
Hello.
I hope you're not superstitious. This is the 13th Scots Way podcast.
It's always all right in the end.
It's always all right. Everything's always all right.
You close the book, and then you go make a cup of tea and put another log on the fire.
Exactly. Put Psycho on the DVD. Well, I think it's probably my shout at the bar. Welcome to the Scots Way podcast.
Okay, Greg, so it was your choice on this episode, so why don't you tell us what we're going to be talking about on this Swally today?
Okay, so this week we're looking at the BBC's adaptation of the late Iain Banks' penultimate novel, Stonemouth. It came out in 2013, I think just for about the same time as he passed away. Christian Cooke plays Stewart Gilmour, returning to the seaside town of Stonemouth 5 years after running away from a sex scandal for the funeral of his best friend Callum, who appears to have committed suicide by plunging from the fourth row bridge. Stewart attempts to put the pieces of his friend's death together while staying out of the way of his former fiance's notorious family, the Murstons, led by particularly formidable Peter Mullen. This proves difficult, as Callum, the late Callum, was also a Murston. So, it came out on the BBC in 2015. It was just a two-part drama. It was on BBC One in Scotland. It was in June of 2015, and it was on BBC Two everywhere else in the UK. I hadn't seen this before, Nicky. I don't think you had.
No, I hadn't. I think we mentioned on the last episode we both read the book when it came out, but no, this is my first time actually viewing Stonemouth. I was aware that it had happened and that it came out, but I'd never actually watched it. So, no, my first time too.
I actually realised I hadn't read the book. I was confusing Stonemouth with The Quarry, which was Iain Banks' last book. So when I was watching it, I was thinking, I don't remember any of this stuff happening in the book.
That, honestly, that doesn't surprise me, but even if you had read the book, because it's very different from the book. And I don't want to get bogged down too much into comparing it to the book or even comparing it to The Crow Road, which I think is inevitable that we're going to have to be talking about. But this is very different from the book in terms of it's not Stuart's friend that dies. It's actually Dawn's father that passes away. So it would have been like his grandfather-in-law to be.
Right.
And him and Stuart had quite a close relationship.
Right.
And he is actually away for 5 years rather than 2, which would make a lot more sense of what happens in the 2 years he's away. So yeah, I don't want to get bogged down too much in comparing it to the book, because we're talking about the TV show here. Yeah. In coming to this, without having read the book and seeing it for the first time, what did you think about Stonemouth? Initial thoughts?
I mean, it was, I think the sort of basic framework of the book has a lot in common. Not of the book, of the TV show. Has a lot in common with The Crow Road. You know what I mean? Sort of young guy, sort of coming home and trying to put the pieces of a mystery together. They filmed a lot of the TV show at Macduff in Aberdeenshire, which, if you've never been to Macduff, I recommend you go. It's absolutely stunning there. I don't mean you, Nicky. I'm sure you've been to Macduff. I meant that for the listeners.
Stole a road sign from Macduff once.
Oh, did you? Cockbridge?
No, I didn't. No, of course not. No.
So it's great to see Peter Mullen in anything, and he's very good in this. Gary Lewis is great in it as well, although we don't see that much of him really, but where we do see him, he's very good. A bit perplexed at the choice to cast so many English people in lead roles. Because Christian Cooke, as an actor, I like him. I really liked that Cemetery Junction, the Ricky Gervais movie that he was in, set in the 1970s. I thought that was a good film, and I thought he was particularly good in it. I don't really, it's a kind of BBC Scotland production. You think about the amount of Scottish actors of Christian Cooke's sort of generation that could have played that part. I was a bit perplexed by it. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of issues with it. To be honest, there's a lot of story threads left completely unanswered. I think cramming the story, such as it is, into 2-hour-long episodes is perhaps been a bit ambitious, and it's not really paid off, unfortunately. That's not to say that I didn't enjoy it. There's some great moments in it, and there's some fantastic performances in it, particularly from Gilly Gilchrist as Stuart's dad, and what is her name? Charlotte Spencer, who plays Ellie, who's very good as well. But yeah, I think probably the fairest sort of summing up of it for me is probably a bit of a missed opportunity.
I'd agree with you there. I think it's almost a trope of kind of Iain Banks novels, really. It's about a young man going back to his hometown, and the tale gets told in past and present with flashbacks and voiceovers. And I think that's maybe why this kind of fell a little bit short to me, because it's not The Crow Road. but it's almost like it felt like, you know what it felt like? Almost like an American remake of The Crow Road. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not quite as good. I think they tried to do something good, but it just kind of failed. And there's so many similarities, you know, in terms of Stewart and Ellie. It's kind of a romance from afar, which is just like Prentice and Verity, really. Yeah. And he's trying to kind of piece together this mystery and who knows what's going to happen. I thought it was okay. It was passable. I did enjoy it. And I actually watched this with my wife because I said to her, it was last Sunday, and I just, look, I need to watch this for the podcast. Do you want to watch it? It's like a Scottish 2-part thing, kind of mystery type thing. She's like, yeah, I'll watch that. And she loved it. She really enjoyed it. And when it ended, actually, she's like, is that it? Is there more? I want more. I need to know what happens, because there's so many, as you say, unanswered things. Yeah. I did enjoy it, but yeah, it was a bit disappointing in terms of I don't know, they crammed a lot into 2 episodes, but then if it had been made into maybe 3 or 4, it might have been a bit too drawn out. However, that would have maybe helped things, because it did seem like every 10 minutes the brothers were chasing Stewart with baseball bats. I mean, it kind of felt a bit too the Chuckle Brothers, as Ferg calls them when he's pumping Ellie's sister in the car. But it's it does feel like, oh, okay, so they're chasing him again and again, and here we go. So I think maybe if you'd expanded that into maybe like 4 episodes, it could have been better. However, would it have then been too drawn out over 4 episodes? I mean,
possibly. You know, but then, you know, I guess we should say now, we're obviously going to spoil this. So if you haven't watched it, maybe able to go back and watch it before you listen to the rest of the pod. But, you know, like the resolution when we find out what actually happened to Callum, it's kind of, you know, it's sort of overheard in the fish factory. And even then, it sort of transpires that maybe that's not exactly what happened to him.
No.
And then, you know, and then there's the confrontation with Powell and Dom in the house. And even that's a bit sort of flat, you know? Like the only sort of finale is, you know, when Fergus gets shot protecting Stewart from, is it Norrie? And see the other brother. He was
Norrie and Fraser.
Yeah, so Fraser shoots Ferg and then gets panelled over the head with a bit of wood, and then, you know, but then we don't know what happened to Norrie. You know what I mean? Like he sort of he has that last time we see him is in the fish factory, and then we don't see him again.
No, we do see 2 of them. Is that before or after? No, it is after the fish factory. The Norrie and Fraser are in the pool hall with Powell doing lines of Ching.
That's right.
And they're all like, oh, and that's when Powell puts into their head, it's all
Stuart's.
Stuart's fault. And that's when he kind of go off. But yeah, we don't know what happens to Norrie. We don't see that. And I think that's a bit of a missed opportunity. And I don't even think, as you say, we kind of overhear in the fish factory, it's because the brother's like, yes, that's what happened, Dad.
Yeah.
However, I think they're just saying that because Don's said it and Powell's there as well.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, no, I think it was Powell that killed Cal.
Well, but it's all sort of implied, isn't it?
Yeah, it's never actually, you don't get a resolution. We still don't know what actually happened.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of this kind of screaming at the screen. I mean, in fact, the reason that Stewart kind of had to leave Stonemouth was because he was engaged to Ellie and he got caught pumping Joy McAvoy in the toilets at a wedding, and then he has to leave. Now, at no point in this does he tell Ellie, well, the reason I pumped her was because I saw you kissing your ex-boyfriend's brother, who you then went on to marry, on the balcony. So that's why I ended up doing that. He doesn't tell her, and you're kind of screaming at the screen, just fucking tell her, and it's all going to be not okay, but she can explain, you can explain. It just seems there's so much kind of unresolved stuff that you just want to scream at the TV.
Yeah.
Just sort this out.
No, I know. It was just, you know, I mean, I guess you have a sort of happy ending, I guess, with Stewart and Ellie embracing on the platform. I mean, what's that? I mean, it's supposed to be set in like modern times. Why the fuck is it getting on a train carriage from like the 1950s?
I think it did look like the Hogwarts Express or something.
It did. I don't know.
Off to take them off. Yeah. So you mentioned about the English cast, and of course we have, as you say, Christian Cooke in kind of the main role really, and Charlotte Spencer as Ellie, you know, and 2 English actors. However, why do you not cast Scottish. Like, there's so much talent there that you could easily have cast this. And that's the thing, because they're doing just like kind of generic Scottish accents.
Yeah.
Now, this is meant to be set in Stonemouth, and it's meant to be like Moray, like it's meant to be in the north, kind of. It's meant to be Aberdeenshire,
right? Of course,
the area. Yeah. Whereas the accents are all over the place. You know, you've got Peter Mullen and Gary Lewis doing different accents. You've got these English actors doing different accents. You've got Ferg, who is like kind of a posh kind of Edinburgh accent. Powell, obviously Irish, so it doesn't even make an attempt. But everybody's accent is completely different and all over the place, and it shouldn't be like that. I understand they couldn't probably do a proper Moray Aberdeenshire accent because nobody would fucking understand it.
Subtitle it.
However, it did annoy me a little bit that everybody's accent was just all over the place. It's just like look, it's Scottish, it's fine. I mean, the woman that we heard about in the news, she would go mental over this because all of the different accents going on. But it did strike me as, you know what? Can you do a Scottish accent? Yeah, that's fine. Doesn't matter. You know, if you were to set this in Liverpool and you had an actor doing like a Mancunian accent when he was meant to be from Liverpool, there would be fucking outrage about this. Yeah, it seems to be okay because it's Scottish. It's fine.
Yeah. I wondered if Joy McAvoy might have auditioned for the role of Ellie, or maybe the role of Greer, and you know, obviously was unsuccessful. But she's. I had to be fair to her. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Joy McAvoy, if I'm honest. But to be fair, I thought although she's not in this very much, really, I thought she was actually all right. I think she's better in the sort of 5 minutes or so of screen time that she has in the whole thing than she is.
She's got about 4 lines, and they're like, "Do you fancy a line?"
She comes back in the
fancy a shag.
She comes back in the second episode, doesn't she?
Of course, yeah, to explain everything. Yeah. Now, this is what bothers me. Now, this is the whole kind of crux. So, Ellie and Stu have been together, and, you know, in fact, let's delve into their relationship first. Ellie is Cal's sister, and Stu is mates with Cal, and he fancies Ellie. But he says he can't speak to her because she's out of his league. Now, come on, it's not as if Stuart's looking like Big George or anything. Like, he's a good-looking guy. She's not out of his league. He's a good-looking guy. She's a beautiful woman. It's, you know, they're kind of perfect for each other, really.
Yeah.
However, his patter is fucking shite. His first line to her is, "The truth is, I've been in love with you since the first moment I laid eyes on you. I'd love to have a baby with you." Now, she should be running for the fucking hills when she hears that. However, they don't. So they end up having a relationship, despite the fact that she is currently going out with Gary Lewis' character, Mike, one of his sons. So she's going out with him. I can't remember, is it Ryan? No, Ryan's the one she marries. And turns out to be gay because Ferg goes and lures him into the woods. Now, so she and Stu start going out. Then at this wedding, they're engaged, they're going to be married. At this wedding, we see Ellie kissing Ryan, who is her ex-boyfriend's brother, and Joy McAvoy's character's brother as well. So this all incestuous thing. And Stu then goes off to the toilets with Jell to have a line of coke and a bit rumpy pumpy. Now we find out that Powell has set all this up, effectively. Now he set up Jell to go and speak to Stu, but did he set up Ryan to kiss Ellie on the balcony? But then we find out that Stu's fled Stonemouth that evening, been away for 2 years. In the 2 years he's been away, Ellie has married Ryan and divorced him.
Yeah.
So you're like, what the fuck? Like, it's so incestuous, and I mean, I guess it is Moray, but it's so incestuous, and just these two families, and just everyone's, you know, all the brothers, sisters, everyone's just hooking up with each other, and it's just bizarre. It just, I don't know, it just didn't seem believable in a way that she's done this. Why was she kissing the brother, but then ended up marrying him?
Yeah,
it's just,
you know, because
like Ellie seems like such a.
She's knocking him back, and he sort of forces himself on her, but she doesn't like batter him off. You know what I mean?
No.
You know, like she's like the moment lasts long enough for Stewart to see what's, you know, to get the wrong impression. Yeah, it's strange. And the other thing is, like, going back to the sort of Crow Road-esque childhood trauma like in the Crow Road, we had Fergus sort of smashing Lachlan's face into the cabinet thing. In this one, we've got Big George killing one of the group with a sword before he gets PJ'd in the eyes with a paint gun. I kind of see, but then we never hear about Big George again, other than or who's Big George's brother? Fergus.
No. They mention it's Hugh.
Oh, Hugh.
And he's never mentioned again.
Yeah.
So it seems odd. And because they build it up as they're meant to be like royalty in Stonemouth.
Yeah.
But you never hear anything again. And that's exactly what it had. Like Big George, it's quite a horrific scene when he kills wee Malky with the sword.
Yeah.
And then he acts like Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers getting shot with this paintball until, as you've said, he gets PJ'd from Biker Grove. Like, it's shot in the eye. And, fair play, that was all Cal could do, really, to stop him, because he was just like a kind of one-man wrecking machine. But yeah, Big George and Hugh never mentioned again, apart from, as you say, in Cal's video message when he says he's in Big George type bother.
Yeah, I think this is one of the things that sort of costs it. Because like the Crow Road had a lot of characters, and they were able, because it was over sort of 4 or 5 episodes, they were able to sort of flesh them out and demonstrate their importance to the narrative and to the story and stuff. Everybody from like Rory's girlfriend to Prentice's flatmate and all that kind of stuff. There was enough time to kind of show you what they were all about and how important they were to the story. Where in this one, to your point, we meet these characters early on in the episode, in the first episodes when Stewart is thinking back to the Big George incident. And you would think that, there's the scene where he sort of reunites with Fergus and some of his friends in the pub. And then he goes to the other scene where they play poker. There's his friend who works in the CCTV cabin for the bridge. And it's like they're all sort of, you just feel like they're put there to move the story on a wee bit.
Yeah.
Give Stewart another clue as to what actually happened to Cal. Yeah, I think, perhaps if they had had a bit more time, it would have been a bit more of a more satisfying sort of drama.
Yeah, I'd agree, because as you say, there are all these kind of bit part characters. So, as you say, Dougie, his friend, who's the cop, who, of course, is Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Ezzy, I think, is the guy that does the CCTV cameras.
Yep.
And then even people like, what's his name? The drug dealer. Is it like
D-Cup?
D-Cup, yeah. Even then, they don't get enough. Okay, we get a little glimpse of his life, that he loves his little porcelain animals and his bone china dogs. Yeah. But there's not enough kind of in-depth into this. And as you say, they don't flesh out enough. Like, Ezzy, all we know of him is the poker game, and literally like a few lines. It's like, oh, so you do the CCTV cameras at the bridge? Yeah, I do. And the next scene, it's like, how much did you lose in the poker game? I'll give you the money if I can look at this. And there's no kind of, build up to that or anything.
Yeah.
Even, Ellie's sister Greer, it's kind of like she's in 3-4 scenes, and the storyline that they have with her is kind of, again, a bit confusing, because you're kind of like, so did her and Cal have an incestuous relationship, or she did just make it up? Like, and I think we're led to believe towards the end that when she's speaking to Dawn that she did make it up, but it's the one thing they did quite well that I thought was, obviously we see her as she is now, and then when they had the flashback to 2 years ago, she was kind of like a goth at the wedding, taking the photos. I thought that was quite clever in the way they'd done that. She's the only character that they kind of did that for. Yeah. Everyone else is just exactly the same. So it kind of felt a little bit half-arsed in a way, in terms of the way they've handled some of these things.
She's also one of the more interesting characters. She's more interesting than Ellie. You know what I mean? Much more interesting than Ellie. Ellie gets a little bit to do toward the end of the second episodes when, her and Stewart go to the fish factory to spy on the drugs arriving and the heist, and then she kind of apparently is an expert in blowing up vans with socks and
how that's I've got that in my notes. Like, so we didn't see her put in either. Stuart's feet are fucking rancid, but the sock could get set like that, because we didn't see her put any lighter fluid or anything on that sock. So his feet must be toxic to be able to set fire so quickly and blow up a van.
Exactly. So, but she's not. She's, for a lot of the first episode, she's a bit like Mrs. Mackay, the postmistress at Cockbridge. She's a bit of a sort of mythical character. Whereas Gria is actually quite interesting and is clearly incredibly important to the mystery of what happened to Cal. But to your point, it's never really specified exactly, what did she say or do that, did her and Cal have a falling out? Is that why she tried to stitch him up? Or is she a bit of a sociopath or what? What's actually happened?
Yeah, I'd like to find out more about her because she has got, in my opinion, some of the best lines and some of the best performance in this. Over the two parts. So like when Stewart first sees her on the beach, and I think she says, like, did you think I was my sister? You're disappointed? It's funny the way she says that.
Rhea.
Stewart Gilmour, as I live and breathe. Interesting. You look relieved and disappointed at the same time. I guess you thought I was my sister. Story of my life.
But then probably the best line for me is at Cal's funeral kind of wake, and Stu approaches her when she sat there herself, and he doesn't say anything. He just kind of looks at her in a weird way, and she says, are we meant to be communicating telepathically?
Yeah.
And she's just got so much kind of sass about her. Yeah. And she's a brilliant character. And I agree, I'd rather see more of her than probably most of the rest of the cast.
Yeah. So she's played by Naomi Battrick. And another English actress in that role. So yeah, a bit of a strange sort of choice to make with her. Even D-Cup's quite an interesting character. We have the scene in the pool hall where he threatens Stewart and is rescued, and Powell rescues. He rescues Stewart, and then we discover his hidden depths when Ellie and Stewart go to his flat to buy some weed, but really to ask him what he knows about what happened to Callum, and it turns out that he collects these fucking wally dogs.
Thanks for sorting us out. It's been a horrible day, what with my brother's funeral and all that.
Aye, no bother.
These yours?
Aye, I collect them. Bone china, vintage.
They're beautiful.
Circus animals mostly. Wee dogs, monkeys, that sort of thing. But this is rare. Blanc de Jean porcelain. You can't get these for love nor money. I love the Chinese. See, apart from us, they invented all the best stuff.
But again, quite an interesting character that is sort of criminally underused. And actually, Powell, played by Brendan Gleeson's son, he's actually a brilliant character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's really, really good, and he's a fabulous actor. Much like his dad and his brother. But probably one of the best scenes in the show, is, as much as it's not very satisfying, is the confrontation between him and Peter Mullen as Dom in the house when he's threatening Dom with a gun. He's really, really good.
It was so interesting because normally it's the other way around. I'm the one that is like, when we're watching this and Brian Gleeson pops up on screen, my wife was like, oh, it's him. Oh, I like him. I was like, what have you seen him in? She's like, oh, I watched this show, Bad Sisters, that he's in. He's brilliant in it. And I was like, oh, okay. Powell is a fascinating character and very good. And he's probably one of the ones that they did maybe a decent enough job of building up kind of his backstory.
Yeah.
That you can actually tell why he is so kind of owes his life to Don, because looked after him and stuff. And I think that's why. And of course, the backstory, effectively, he kind of, even Don mentions at one point, it's a shame you weren't a merchant, or because he knows he has to give the keys of the kingdom to Ellie or the other two idiot brothers. Powell is a great character and quite menacing in a way. I mean, Ferg obviously is terrified of him because when he buys Ferg and Stewart a pint in the pub, and Ferg's like, let's drink up, I don't want to associate with was it someone that could kill me like with one punch or something?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
But yeah, a very interesting character, and I quite would have liked to have kind of found out more about Powell and his backstory and what went into that, really.
Yeah, how he came to be sort of adopted by the Mersons and all that. And yeah, no, you're right. He's very, very good. On Fergus, I noticed that he only has one jumper, regardless of whether it's circa 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago when everyone's sitting on the beach enjoying cans and dance music, or whether he's in the pub in the present day with Stewart. He only has that sort of one grey kind of fisherman's jumper. And even when he gets shot, he's wearing that fucking jumper.
I did not notice that. And you would think as a gay games designer, you would have a bit more style about you.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, he's got a cracking duffel coat. And in fact, he compliments Stewart on his jacket. He's like, oh, look at this from Shoreditch. But yeah, you're right. I never thought about that, but you're right. He's only got one jumper.
Yeah. On some of the fashion choices, I mean, the shoes, which get Stewart into all the trouble at the wedding, those blue suede shoes. I mean, he deserved to be chased out of Stonemouth just for turning up at a wedding in navy blue trousers and light blue suede shoes. I'm surprised Fergus wants anything to do with them. I made a note here, and I can't remember why I wrote it, but I've made a note that says questionable buttery.
Okay.
In the first
so
episode.
that'll be the breakfast that he gets served for
after his hangover.
He gets home, for his hangover. So mum and dad, and he gets served a breakfast is a square sausage, black pudding, a buttery, and 2 fried eggs.
Yeah.
So I would question that as well, whether you would actually have a buttery with that
a fry up
kind of combination. You would just have a buttery, and I'm like, I wouldn't have that combination together.
So back when you were back before you became a vegetarian, and if you live in Aberdeen, if your mum made you like a fry up, what would you expect? Like toast, egg, beans, bacon, sausage?
No, when I would make like a fry up myself, for example, I would have sausage, not square because it gives me heartburn. So lynx sausage, bacon, fried egg, beans, toast. I mean,
no black pudding
in Dubai as well. I would make black pudding as well. Yeah, that would kind of be it. I wouldn't go with like mushrooms or any of that nonsense. But sausage, bacon, fried egg, beans, black pudding.
No buttery on the side to
no, definitely not.
Mop up your bean juice.
No, that's what the toast before. A buttery would just very much be a buttery that you would have on its own. You don't have that with a fucking cooked breakfast. That's just insane. I don't know what they do up in Murray or Stonemouth, but it's obviously full of perverts if they're doing stuff like that.
It's full of perverts because...
I agree with you. You mentioned earlier in terms of Gary Lewis doesn't really get enough to do in this, and I agree. The older actors, I would say, are brilliant.
Yes.
As much as some of the younger actors, maybe hit and miss, I think we'll give Naomi Battrick a pass on this because she is brilliant as Greer, as we've said. Yeah. However, I think that Gary Lewis, Peter Mullen, as you mentioned earlier, Gilly Gilchrist is Stuart's dad. Sharon Small is Connie. I mean, she's only got a few lines, but she's brilliant as well. And I think you could probably give Brian Gleeson kind of as the older actor, if you know what I mean, compared to the rest of the cast. They are all fantastic, I think, and really stand out. And I wish we would have seen more of Mike, Gary Lewis's character. However, I can't forgive this. So we're led to believe, obviously, Mike and Dawn kind of, as it is said by Stuart's dad, or was it Stewart, like they run Stonemouth, like between the two of them.
Yeah.
And obviously this is what I can't agree to. It's almost like two kind of gang leaders. However, they are technically related, through marriage because Dawn's daughter married Mike's son, even though Mike's son's sister pumped Ellie's ex-fiancé in the toilet. Like, again, so incestuous. However, so Mike is obviously taken this one step further and thought, let's just complete this. And he's having an affair with Connie, Dawn's wife. Now, if you are going to be having an affair, people, probably not the best situation to kiss your rival's wife, who you're sleeping with, on your doorstep, which is on the beachfront, and everyone can see. probably not the best idea to do that. And that, for me, I know it had to kind of necessitate that Stewart saw it, and as Mike says, we're old friends, it's just tea and sympathy, and probably a odd hand job. But it's very much a, come on, man, you're meant to be this kind of massive, businessman stroke drug dealer. Why are you being so stupid to do this and kiss the woman you're having an affair with on your doorstep where everyone can see? You wouldn't do that.
No, you wouldn't. And then the other thing there, when we first meet Peter Mullen as Dom, when Stewart goes to the house, what the fuck's that workout video all about?
It's a big purple dinosaur, animated. He's just enjoying his workout. He's getting on a bit. He's wanting to take care of himself. So yeah, he's working out to what looks like a Barney kind of knockoff.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's just doing his little workout and in his Massive Attack t-shirt.
Yeah.
And enjoying himself, yeah. I did have that down actually as my intro before I stumbled across the Big George Boy George. I was going to say I'm joined by the man who works out to an animated purple dinosaur. It's Greg. But then I stumbled across the Boy George reference and I thought that was better.
Do you think there's a case to say that Peter Mullen is Scotland's greatest living actor?
We've discussed this, I think, on the podcast before. Yeah. And we always come, it's Mullen and Cox. It's the two. I think I'd go with Mullen.
Yeah, I think
he's
so.
He's just so good. He's just his range, and he's just so convincing in terms of, and he can play so many different roles. And something for him to be, and quite a few things we've seen him in, he's maybe meant to be like, look at Shallow Grave, for example. He's meant to be like a menacing kind of thug. You believe it. But yeah, Trainspotting, Johnny Swan, kind of laughable junkie, you believe it. And I think Mullen might just output Cox, really. Cox is brilliant. And the next thing that we do starring Brian Cox, I will probably be like, no, Brian Cox is the best actor. But yeah, I think Mullen probably is.
Yeah, I just can imagine being like threatened by Peter Mullen. You know what I mean?
I mean, as long as he doesn't sing to me, like he did in Sunshine on Leith, then. But again, that shows his range, though. I mean, okay, his singing isn't great, but he's the best thing about Sunshine on Leith, I think.
Oh, undoubtedly.
And that shows that he's prepared to do that, and it's still kind of believable the way he is, but that he can turn in a menacing performance. It has to be. Yeah, I can only imagine being threatened by Peter Mullen. Like, and when he is, it's the level when at Cal's funeral and he's speaking to Stewart. And Ellie comes over, and he's being nice, but he's also being very sinister. Like, oh, Stuart's just telling me he's leaving tomorrow. You got half an hour and then get out. Yeah. And you're like, I would be leaving straight away. If Peter Mullen was saying that to me.
Yep. Now there's something that happens that I thought might be a clue to the mystery of what happened to Callum, which turned out I was miles off and it wasn't. So at Callum's funeral, they play one of his favourite songs, I assume, which is the Clash's cover of I Fought the Law and the Law Won. And I thought to myself, I wonder if Doogie, the policeman, is involved somehow here. Because Doogie's another one of those characters that we see a fair bit of in the first episode. We see Stewart meets him when he's out on his bike, being a policeman, and then he's there when they're playing poker.
The token black man in Mori.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like, that's the thing. And, he's got like a Scottish accent because the actor, and his name's Nikutai, his second name, as you mentioned, he's going to be the next Doctor Who. Nikutai. It's
why I refer to him as Doctor Who, because I didn't even want to tackle pronouncing his name.
I guess like in Babby or something like that. My kids are mixed race and have Scottish accents, and I always don't know, because I just say when I was growing up in Glasgow, there was lots of Asian kids, but there wasn't any African or West Indian kids at all that I ever came across. The other part of the first episode I liked is when he meets Ferg in the pub. So when we're introduced to Ferg, and I like when we sort of touched on it a wee bit earlier in the news when we were talking about Austin's trip to see Real Madrid play Celtic. But I like that sort of the kind of pub filling up around you. We're just going to pop in for 1 or 2 and meet my pal.
Yeah.
And then by like 4 o'clock, it's pints and nips.
Yeah.
People kind of coming in and dropping out and stuff. You know what I mean? It's been a really, really long time since I did that, and not sure that I'm match fit to ever do it again. But
yeah, I agree with you on that. Yeah, lovely thought, but yeah, I wonder if that would ever happen.
Yeah,
a couple other points that I'd noticed was actually it was my wife that noticed it, and she wanted me to point it out. at the end when he is leaving and he's got his bag,
his tiny little bag.
Very small bag. Wife kept saying, it's a wee bag. It's a wee bag. And obviously, after the last 2 hours, she'd got tuned into the Scottish accent. So it's a wee bag. Yeah, too small a bag for the trip that he's made. The other thing as well is in probably one of the second to last scenes when after Ferg has been shot and they are in the hospital, Stu and Ellie there, and Ferg wakes up and Ellie says, I'll leave you boys to it. She takes fucking 3 steps and just stands there watching them because like you think she's gone and then it cuts and she's there. She's like, I'll leave you boys to it. But yet she's just like, I'm just still going to hover around like COVID and just watch you and see what you're saying. Like, that's not leaving me to it. Go piss off, go and get a coffee or something. But yeah, I just find that amusing that I'll leave you boys to it. But she's just lingering there.
Yeah, I was going to go to the other side of the room and give you some privacy, so you can hold hands and tell each other that you love each other.
Did you pick up on the massive connection that this has to a previous episode we've done in the Swally, Our Ladies?
No, I didn't actually, no.
Okay, so Ezzy, who is the CCTV camera guy, he plays the reporter at the start of Our Ladies that comes to take a photo of the girls before they go on their trip.
Right.
Jack Greenless, who plays Norrie, he is Bobby in Our Ladies, who is the guy that has the wedding video that they're watching. Remember? They go back to the flat, And Chris Fulton, who played Ferg, he's Danny in Our Ladies, who's the guy with the stutter that steals their clothes.
Right.
Got 3 Our Ladies cast members in Stonemouth. Yeah,
3 Swally Tally strugglers, troublers, I should say. So earlier, like a few minutes ago, I touched on Ferg's choice. Not Ferg, sorry, Callum. I assume Callum's choice for a song at his funeral. I Fought the Law and the Law Won. So it led me to have a look and see what popular funeral songs are at the moment, because I think we can agree I Fought the Law and the Law Won. It's an unusual choice for a funeral. So in 2021 in the UK, the top 10 songs played at funerals starting in at number 10. I need the Top of the Pops tune on, but I need the 1980s Top of the Pops tune on. In at number 10, The Wind Beneath My Wings by Bette Midler. Number 9, The Lord Is My Shepherd, Eva Cassidy. Number 8, Always Look on the Bright Side of Life, Eric Idle. Number 7, the hymn Jerusalem, it just says various. Number 6, We'll Never Walk Alone by Jerry and the Pacemakers. Number 5, All Things Bright and Beautiful, various. Number 4, Amazing Grace, various. Number 3, Time to Say Goodbye by Sarah Brightman and Andrea Bocelli. Number 2, My Way, the obvious. And number 1, Abide With Me, the classic hymn. I was hoping to find in this chart something a bit out there and unusual and funny. Literally, there's literally nothing.
Burn, Baby Burn.
Well, Spirit in the Sky by Norman Greenbaum, I think is quite good. I might have that. just in the hope that I actually am on my way up to see the Spirit in the Sky and not going the other way.
Okay.
Ever heard any unusual songs at a funeral?
No, I can't say I have. No. No, nothing that springs to mind.
I remember somebody having Kiss from a Rose by Seal at a funeral I was at once.
Was it a big Batman Forever fan?
It must have been. Which reminds me of what they say in that podcast, that Seal's hair fell out because his hamster died.
I did. I read something on Twitter the other day. Actually, somebody had posted like, kids these days don't know how fucking good they've got it, because you can literally just Google on your phone lyrics to a song.
Yeah.
And you have the full lyrics. Whereas back in the day, we used to have to kind of mumble the soft bits on Seal's like Kissed by a Rose, because we didn't know what they were. So you'd be like, I know much to tell you. You again. Yeah, because you couldn't tell lyrics unless they were published in smash hits or something.
Or unless sometimes like bands would print the lyrics on the inlays, wouldn't they? Or in the back of the record, or in the inlay for the CD or the cassette. I remember the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles soundtrack had all the lyrics, which was a boon when you were 12 years old, because then you could really show off. You knew it word for word. And as a result, if I was pushed, I could probably recite it verbatim, word for word, 30 years later.
You can tell, listener, how much we enjoyed Stonemouth, because we're now speaking about the lyrics to TURTLE Power by Partners in Crime. It leads to one of my other favourite lines. That I did laugh at this when Ferg and Stu are in the pub and they're speaking, and Stu says to Ferg, what about you? Any romance or anything? And he says, you just haven't met him yet, as the Buble might say. And I thought that was quite good. I like that. That made me laugh a little bit.
He had another line, Ferg, that made me laugh when he sort of comes round after being shot in the hospital, and Stewart says, so you're going to be fine. The doctor says the bullet missed all your vital organs, and he says, well, have I got organs that aren't vital?
I thought that was nice as well, actually. It was a nice way to end, because obviously you can tell that Ferg is in love with Stewart, and it is reciprocated, but not in the same way.
Yeah.
And I did like that when Stewart says to him, I love you too. Mm-hmm. It's lovely, I thought. So I did like that, even though Ellie was just fucking hovering over his shoulder, despite saying, I'll leave you boys to it.
Yeah.
She's still hovering there like a fucking rent-a-ghost or something, but yeah.
He might have been able to persuade Stewart to fucking wank him off if she hadn't been there. You know what I mean? Just feeling sorry for him. He's been shot. They've had a moment together. Like, Stuart's going to London, back to London anyway. You know what I mean? So,
I did think though that Maury, when it was filmed, it did look lovely.
Oh,
in a
amazing!
Way. Like, it just beautiful. The winding streets and stuff. It did remind me of. Spent a couple of summers up in Cullen, kind of up that way, and just those winding streets in the seaside kind of town.
Yeah.
Even in Aberdeen, you get a little bit of it down in like Fitty, but
yeah, you do. Yeah, just
lovely, kind of just beautiful the way it is. It was really nice.
Yeah,
good to see.
Yeah, it's always great when we cover something that's been filmed in Scotland, and the production team go to great lengths to show off the scenery, and that was the best thing about Sunshine on Leith was the Edinburgh vistas. Did you notice, so Charlotte Spencer, who plays Ellie, I noticed that she has recently been in something that I know that you're a fan of, I'm a fan of too, Ted Lasso. She plays Mary. The episode with Coach Beard, the sort of one-hander when he has that sort of weird night out in London.
Oh, yeah, Beard After Hours, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, she's
She's Mary.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to watch that episode again now. Probably my least favourite episode of Ted Lasso, but I'll have to watch it again now just to see Charlotte Spencer.
It's my second least favourite Ted Lasso episode after the Christmas episode.
Thank you for reminding me about that. Yes, the Christmas episode is the worst episode of Ted Lasso. You're right, yeah. Actually, Beard, it's okay, but it's just not on a par with the rest. But yeah, that Christmas one was fucking shite. So I don't really have much else to say. I mean, obviously, I liked Stewart nipping about in his Ford car.
Yeah, I know.
Nipping around Stonemouth.
I know. Why should they hire a car when Stonemouth is supposed to be this like small fishing village? Just fucking walk, driving around.
Borrowed a bike from Dougie or something.
Yeah, got a backie off Dougie.
Would have been a lot easier to get away from things. Why wasn't Dougie at the funeral? Actually, that's a good shout. Maybe he was on duty or something.
Yeah.
obviously it did do this quite well in terms of, but maybe not well. You're kind of like, everyone's a suspect at the beginning. So, Mike is a bit suspicious. Ferg is even a bit suspicious when he's kind of telling Stewart, just like, stay out of it, leave it alone.
Yeah.
Obviously, Powell, I mean, from the minute you meet Powell, you're like, well, he's got something to do with this.
Yeah.
Because he's so kind of suspicious in a way. But yeah, I think that they do maybe a good enough job of implicating a lot of people in this to make up the mystery element. So you're never sure. However, the one person that I obviously never thought had anything to do with it was Don, in Peter Mullen's character.
Yeah.
And even Ellie accuses him at one point.
Yeah,
he's like, are you taking a piss? Do you think I would do that to my son? And that never for a second crossed my mind that he had anything to do with it. Similarly to Mike, I never thought he had anything to do with it either. Is that just because Gary Lewis is just such a nice man and you just kind of
maybe
don't think he would do something like that? But yeah, I never thought for a second they had anything to do with the death. But
I thought Gary Lewis might have something to do with it before we see him with Dom's wife having a little moment on the doorstep, and then this sort of thought,
tea and sympathy.
Yeah, and so and he's quite reasonable toward Stewart all the time. You know what I mean? So it made me think, well, it's probably not him. I mean, I thought at one point Ezzy might have something to do with it because the CCTV has obviously been switched off before Callum goes off the bridge. Powell, to your point, I was pretty sure that he was involved in some shape or form. I thought the sister, Gria, might have had something to do with it at one point. So I guess, I suppose you're right. They did do quite a good job at sort of kind of putting all these people on your radar.
Yeah.
But ultimately, they could have done a better job of the whole thing.
Yeah, I agree. It was okay. I'd recommend, if you've got 2 hours to spare, I'd recommend watching it, but just don't expect to be blown away by it. It was good, but if you're going to watch an Iain Banks adaptation, then watch The Crow Road or even Complicity. Was that was a decent kind of film. But watch The Crow Road instead would be my recommendation to you.
Okay, then. So let's put Stonemouth through our Swally Awards. The first one, the Bobby the Barman Award for Best Pub.
Well, the Old Murray Pub, which used to be the Mason's Arms.
Yeah, that's right.
as they say. I'd love to go for a pint there.
Yeah,
definitely.
Me too. I like a proper boozer.
So
that's what I put. Now, the Hugh McGregor Award for gratuitous nudity was not. I couldn't think of any nudity. It's not really, is there?
No, there's not. No, there's nothing at all.
Okay, well, we'll move swiftly.
Unless you count Joy McAvoy's ankles as our knickers go down. But no, there's no nudity.
Yeah, Joy McAvoy proving that she is better in 5 minutes of screen time in this than in 2.5 series worth of Two Doors Down. The James Cosmo Award for being in everything Scottish.
I gave it to Gary Lewis.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I didn't. I gave it to Gilly Gilchrist.
He was a close second for me because he's had a fucking hell of a run in River City as well.
Yeah.
And he's been in quite a lot. But yeah, I went with Gary Lewis. But yeah, Gilly Gilchrist could, he was my second choice, I would say.
I'll tell you some interesting things about Gilly Gilchrist. Okay, Gilchrist facts. He's a trained trapeze artist.
Wow.
Despite growing up in Scotland, he was born in Somerset. He is in no fewer than 5 different Taggart serials. Going as far back, his first credit is in 1986, Death Call, where he's credited as Frogman, which was what we used to call divers in the 1980s, kids. Yeah. It was not some elaborate Scottish superhero Frogman. He's played a police diver in 2 episodes. So and he's also, like to your point, he's done River City. He's appeared in a lot of productions set in Scotland. So I thought fair to give it to him. Although Gary Lewis is well and truly up there as well in terms of appearances. Yeah. Okay, next one then. The Tees Oot Award. Where did you go for there? I
went with Ellie smacking Fraser with a log.
Yeah, me too.
I thought that was a bit teasy. I mean, the only other option is Big George getting PJ'd.
Okay. Honourable mention for Big George getting PJ'd in the eye with a paintball. Okay, then the next one then, the Francis Begbie Award for gratuitous swearing. Now, for the second time in a row, I must confess to not really catching anything, particularly gratuitous.
There's not a lot of swears. It's not a huge amount. There's a couple here and there.
Yeah.
The one I gave this to because I liked the way it was delivered is near the beginning, just after Peter Mullen has finished his work out to the big purple animated dinosaur, and Stu goes to see him, and Stu says, "How's Ellie?" And Dawn says, "How's Ellie?"
For what? For whatever it's worth. I really am sorry.
Really sorry.
Aye. How is Ellie?
How's Ellie? Ellie is none of your fucking business. That's how she is. Don't let me keep you.
And I liked it. The delivery was just, it's Peter Mullen, so the delivery was impeccable, of course, but it was just, it's really
class.
nice the way he delivered that. So that's what I gave it to.
That's okay. That's good. I didn't have anything. So, it's a good one. Okay, archetypal Scottish moment.
What'd you go for?
Right, so I went with something that Peter Mullen says, right? And it's, the words by themselves are not particularly Scottish, but the way that it's said in a Scottish accent, and I tried saying it to myself in a number of different accents to see if I was right about this, and I've concluded that I am. So when Peter Mullen says, "Stay where you are," towards the end of the second, what was going on there? Oh yeah, it's the heist when Peter Mullen comes into the fish factory when Norrie and Fraser are trying to rip off the drug deal, and he comes in and stops it, and he says, "Stay where you are." And I was thinking to myself, there's something really Scottish about just the way because I can't imagine any when I say the words "stay where you are" in an urgent way like Peter Mullen does there in different accents, it doesn't have the same, it doesn't resonate in the same way. So
Yeah, okay.
Stay where you
Would
are.
the Scottish not be like, "Hud it"?
Yeah. Hodit's like a sort of condensed version.
Stay where you are.
Stay where you are.
Stay where you are, mate.
Yeah.
Stay where you are.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can take that.
What did you go for?
I did have as the breakfast, which we discussed before, but then I decided that it would be the Stonemouth sign, which says "Haste ye back."
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's better than mine. Okay, and the Sean Connery Awards, who won the production?
Oh, I'd like to give it to Brian Gleeson, but I'm going to give it to Peter Mullen.
Yeah, it has to be Peter Mullen. He's just like, you look forward to every scene he's in. Yeah. He's superb. Maybe Brian Gleeson does deserve an honourable mention, but Peter Mullen runs away with it.
I would even say, Naomi Battrick. I mean, she's not in it for a huge amount as Greer, but as I said, she delivers like two of my favourite kind of scenes and lines, and I just like her kind of sass, but she's not in it enough, really. But yeah, it has to be Mullen. He's just fucking brilliant. And it's, I don't know, it's just an understated performance as well. Like, this is a kind of performance that he could be chewing up the scenery.
Yeah.
But he's not. It's still so believable. And some of the lines the way he delivers it, like at the end with Powell, and you're really convinced. He's got a gun to his head and he's just saying to Powell, "You're going to leave right now, you're going to go away, and I'm never going to know where you are, because if I do, I'll find you and I'll kill you."
Yeah.
And you believe it. Like, that's why Powell is kind of powerless almost, and he just palms the gun away and walks out. So, not aggressively, but he knows where he's going. He's got no fear that Powell is going to all of a sudden turn that gun back on him.
Yeah.
And his performance is just fantastic. So Peter Mullen.
All right, well, by all means, go and watch Stonemouth. If it's definitely worth a watch, but it's not without its problems. So
I'd agree.
It was my choice, Stonemouth, this week. What are we talking about on the next episode of The Swally, Nikki?
I've changed my mind about 6 times now with this. And genuinely. And listener, I genuinely mean this. Greg and I have no idea what the other one is going to pick the next week. And I had something in my mind even before we recorded the book group. And then you picked Stonemouth, and I was like, I can't pick what I was going to pick. So I need to change it. And I've changed it about 3 or 4 times this week. And I was set in Stonemouth. Funnily enough, it's the reason I didn't pick what I was going to pick, because it's got stone in the title. I was like, right, I know what I'm picking. And I changed my mind yesterday. Because I was doing prep for our interview that we're going to be having with Ali for Scots Way Hey later on, I was looking at kind of my favourite films, and I was like, I can't believe we haven't actually done this on the Swally before. Like, I'm genuinely surprised that we haven't done this, because it's one of our favourite people on the Swally in terms of their work. So I'd like to look at the directorial debut of the 1979 Bill Forsyth film, That Sinking Feeling.
Oh, cool. Brilliant. Yeah, I can't believe you haven't done that either.
Neither have I. Cool. I was just looking at the Bill Forsyth films, and I was like, well, we've done Gregory's Girl, we've done Comfort and Joy, we've done Local Hero, we haven't done That Sinking Feeling. Yeah. So, so I had to pick that as our next episode, and also because it's only like 90 minutes long as well.
I know, like last night, my daughter and I watched The Lost Boys, and I hadn't, like, the Joel Schumacher 1988 teen vampire thing, and it was one of my favourite films. I hadn't watched it. I couldn't even tell you. It could be 15, maybe 20 years since I watched it, and because it was the first VHS that I ever bought that wasn't like a Transformers cartoon or whatever when I was about 12. You know, when you watch these films over and over again, and I pretty much knew the script. So I thought my daughter would really like it. And my wife was going to bed. She's like, what are you two going to do? And I said, we're going to watch The Lost Boys. And then I noticed the running time. It's only 1 hour and 37 minutes. I was like, brilliant.
Back when films were a decent length. I miss those days. Yeah. Oh, well. Okay, well, so That Sinking Feeling coming up on the next episode of The Swally. So, thank you so much for listening, everyone. I really hope you enjoyed the show. If you'd like to give us a follow, you can. You can follow us on Instagram at Culture Swally Pod, or you can follow us on Twitter at Swally Pod. And if you've seen anything in the news that you'd like us to cover, or anything that you would like us to review on the show, then you can get in touch with us. Or just send us a little message, say hello. You can get in touch with us on cultureswally@gmail.com. And please feel free to rate, review, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And Greg, we have a beautiful website, don't we?
We do. You can find us at cultureswally.com. You find some articles about Scottish television, about the Crankies, and links to all the aforementioned socials. You can email us from there. You can link to our Instagram and our Twitter. So come and check us out.
Wonderful. Right. Well, I'm going to go and pack a tiny bag to go to the train station and get on the Hogwarts Express. What about yourself?
I'm going to go and have my Sunday roast dinner. That's what I'm going to do. It's currently 4:15 here, and then I'll be speaking to you later on this evening when we meet Ali from Scots Way Hey. So that's something to look forward to.
Wonderful. Okay. Right. Thank you very much, Greg. Until next time.
If you need to go earlier, you could.
Why, I checked in with Dawn like you said.
You didn't cover yourself in glory, though, did you? Mentioning Ellie. Don thought that was a bit cheeky, and that was before he saw you hanging about outside the drop-in centre.
He followed me.
He doesn't need to follow you, Stu boy. He's got friends in high places, eyes everywhere. And now Fraser and Nerdy are keen to catch up and chew the fat.
You told me everything would be okay.
Yeah, it was. Till you started being cheeky and generally sneaking about. Now, listen to me. I'm on your side. But patience is wearing thin. Just best leave well alone.